All right, weekend's over. Back to work, back to work. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Hope you guys had a great start to a brand new week. But it's about that time of day again, isn't it? Back to work, back to work. And a lot to cover in tonight's video. It's Monday evening. It's March 28th, 2022. My name is Joseph. And as always, welcome back to your nightly newsletter. Now, if you're watching for the first time tonight, it's great to have you with me. My job tonight is to help us find the best trades, setting up for Tuesday's trading session. I got a great video for you guys here tonight. Charts are all ready in the background. As you can see, we got the oil, got the Nasdaq, and we got the S&P locked and loaded. Got a bunch of great trades on our radar for Tuesday's trading session. By the end of this video tonight, you'll know my favorite trades for tomorrow to make sure you can make some money trading out there tomorrow. And as always, I'm going to cover some stuff to avoid to help yourself keep yourself out of trouble, whether you're trading on your own or you're trading with us tomorrow in our trade room. Got a lot we're going to cover here tonight. Got a lot of great trades on our radar. Before we jump in, though, and get our hands dirty on these charts here tonight, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? We publish this video every evening during the week with our best trade ideas for the following day. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video, so make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell icon because a lot of this stuff is very time sensitive, right? So make sure you set your notifications so you don't miss tomorrow night's video. How about questions? If you guys have any questions, drop those questions for me in the comment section. I do personally answer all the questions myself, so don't be afraid to type those questions right in. I would love to help with anything you might need help with in the comment section below. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I missed you late last week. I know I left you guys hanging there towards the end of the week last week. That's all right. Good to be back here. If you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoy making it, do me a favor, hit that like button for me here tonight on this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting this YouTube channel. But enough of the intro though, right? Tuesday is right around the corner. These charts are not going to trade themselves. Where's the easy money coming in on Tuesday, right? At the end of the month, right around the corner. How do we finish off the month here with a bang? As you can see right now, a lot of trends going on right now, right? Get a nice strong trend here on the S&P, get a nice strong trend up on the Nasdaq, and pretty much the exact opposite, right? Big, strong bear trend here on the crude oil. Now, of course, anytime we have really strong trends like this, right, we're looking to buy some pullbacks here, looking to buy some pullbacks on the NASDAQ and the S&P. Over on the oil, would love to sell some bounces, right? Sell some rips here as well. So we definitely have some trend following plans or setups we're tracking for tomorrow. But I'll tell you right now, though, we get a range below us, here on the Emini and the Nasdaq. I would love to get some reversals going back down into that trading range. You're going to see here tonight as we go deeper into this video tonight, you'll see why the Nasdaq looks a whole lot more top heavy than a market like the S&P. We'll talk about that here more in a moment, but I am not afraid of some shorting those tops up here, but we do have to wait for the right setups to trade the reversal. We'll talk about my favorite reversal patterns for tomorrow as we go deeper into this video. And of course on oil, there's a really big clue right now with oil sitting right at 103. We do appear to have held below 105. And so we've been talking about these big round numbers on oil. If you're an oil trader like we are in our trade room, I got a bunch of great trades, both the long side and the majority of the short side here for tomorrow. We're going to make sure you guys know exactly where the best entries and exits are on crude oil and all three of these markets as we go into tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, let's make sure we all get on the same page here because we're going into, well, first of all, the end of the month, right? The end of the month is on Thursday. And so anytime we have the end of the month, we always expect there to be a little bit more volatility, right? Volatility is definitely expected to increase over the next 3 trading days. So be aware of that, right? With increased volatility, we widen out our stops, widen out our targets, and we lower our position sizes, right? When the market gets whippy and starts to get volatile, right, we cut our size down, we widen out our stops and targets. We'll talk more small details and that stuff tomorrow morning in our trade room. Now, speaking of tomorrow, we do have some big news coming out at 10 o'clock. The JOLTS report is pretty much the most important news of the day tomorrow. That is, of course, on the schedule for tomorrow. We also have some Fed speakers. We got John Williams at 9. We've got Patrick Harker at 10:45. And late in the day, probably not going to impact us tomorrow, right, is that Bostic speech at 9:30 Eastern time. Remember, guys, the two kind of big factors affecting these markets right now are the Fed, rates, and inflation. And so, of course, that is definitely something that we're anticipating might be touched on in those speaking events tomorrow at 9 a.m. and 10:45. And then, of course, we got Ukraine, right? The situation happening in Ukraine. We had a bit of a snafu over the weekend where the U.S. President Biden made a comment that kind of got everybody shaken up about possible regime change in Russia. Boy, does that bring back some bad memories of Iraq and weapons of mass destruction and all that stuff from, way back then. So that really got things a bit nervous over the weekend. It does look like things have settled in here for the most part here this week. Remember, these are the two big kind of factors that are hanging over these markets right now. Right now, the Fed, as we talked about last week, the Fed has kind of backed themselves into a position where we have really high inflation, and they're really, they don't have many options right now. Don't be surprised, and we talked about this last week, right? Don't be surprised at some point in the next 2 weeks, we might wake up one morning with a surprise rate cut. And that is definitely something that doesn't happen very often. But again, the Fed has kind of backed themselves into a corner with really high inflation, and all they can really do right now is raise rates. They, of course, raised rates right 1/4 to 0.5% last week. We'll see if they throw in an emergency rate cut. It is pretty rare, but so is 10% year-over-year inflation. That's pretty rare too. So we'll definitely be watching that. And again, I would be looking very closely tomorrow at those Fed speakers tomorrow to see if they touch on anything the markets may react to. And then, of course, we'll also keep our eyes open for any new headlines, out of Ukraine. We're kind of in a holding, kind of pattern right now. Will there be any new escalation or de-escalation? Will there be any peace talks or anything that hits the news wires for tomorrow? That is definitely something that we're watching here for tomorrow. So I'll definitely tell you, though, you got the John Williams speech at 9. The big news, of course, is at 10. And we get Harker at 10:45. Those are going to be our big market moving events here tomorrow morning in our trade room. Let's get back to our charts, though, here, because the news, of course, is great. But where are we going to make our money here for tomorrow? I got the S&P, I got the Nasdaq, and, of course, we got the crude oil. Now, I'm going to cover my favorite trades on all three of these charts here tonight. And honestly, guys, if you're a relatively new trader, there are going to be learning opportunities, money-making opportunities across all three of these markets here tonight. So even if you only trade the Nasdaq, if you're serious about your trading, definitely make sure you watch the entire video all the way through, because I will be giving little variations and little tidbits, little money-making pieces here as we go throughout the rest of the video. So make sure you watch all the way through. And I always try to hold the best stuff towards the end of the lesson tonight, right? So I'll reward you for sticking around all the way to the end. I always try to keep my best stuff towards the end of these videos. I'll give you a reason to stick around me tonight all the way through to the end. But let's not waste any more valuable time, though, right? Let's jump into the S&P. We're going to go S&P, Nasdaq, and oil. And again, we're going to keep it moving here tonight on this video lesson. What are the most important things right now affecting this S&P here right now? To me, it looks like there are probably three key components on this chart. One of them is just the sheer strength and size of this move. Anytime we see a really big move one day, we know the following day will probably either go sideways in a range or give us a really deep pullback to attract more buyers, in this case, into the market. So in my eyes, I think probably the most important clue on this is the strength of that move, and of course combine that with the sheer size of that move, right? Don't be surprised if we see a range up here or a really deep pullback to allow buyers to buy at a deeper price. That is a very big important part of this chart here for tonight. What's the second piece of this? I think the second piece of this, and this might kind of blend together for the second and third piece, is this trading range. Now, range ranges act like magnets, and what is very cool about ranges is that the amount we go below the trading range can oftentimes be projected as resistance above the trading range. And as you can see, the buyers had no problem pushing, and not just pushing, but actually holding and closing above that pendulum swing. To me, that's a really good breakout clue. And you're going to see here in a few minutes on the Nasdaq how the Nasdaq doesn't exactly have that type of confirmation. That's why I mentioned earlier the Nasdaq looks a whole lot more top heavy, right? More susceptible to the reversal than the S&P does. So again, I think one very big clue on this is the fact that we have not only broken through the pendulum swing, but closed well above it, right? Closing well above that pendulum. And then the third thing is if the buyers were to fail on this, that range becomes an easy magnet. And you can see that range there is right on top of that 36. 36, of course, is the prior week's close. So boy, put all of those together, right? Strong move up, holding above the pendulum swing with a range below us here. Buyers have all of the momentum right now. How would the buyers want to be buying right now? Well, obviously the buyers would love to buy a nice pullback, right? Buyers would love to buy a pullback off of these highs. If price was to keep going, right? Let's say price was to keep going here. We've got this 4,600 big round number, which just happens to be the top of a major resistance on top here. If we were to keep on going, buyers will continue to be waiting for that pullback right now. Buyers can also look for a range, right? If we start going sideways into a range, we can also look for those, right? Those buying opportunities below the trading range. In fact, there are 3 different ways to trade a bullish market into a range. And so we'll cover some of those here tonight on this video. How about sellers, right? What could the sellers do right now? The sellers actually have quite a few options right now. One of my favorite trades whenever we have a range below us is that double top reversal. I would love to get a double top reversal here. We'll talk about kind of how to qualify a double top reversal. And then let's face it, with the range below us, if we can get this thing to turn over, we may be able to find some new channels and grab that short for a rotation back down to the other side of that trading range. So, boy, there are no shortage of both long and short opportunities here, setups on our radar here for tomorrow. So let's talk about as the market goes lower, because that's really what we want, right? That's exactly what we'd like to get here right now. What I'd like to get, if we can get this thing to pull back here, is I'd like to use some of these prior highs, right? This makes for a really nice area of support here. Now, I'm not a big fan of picking bottoms. What I like to do is wait for the pullback and then watch and see if the sellers come in and try to short it going lower. We have a lot of strength to the upside right now, and it's a good chance we're going to end up at least retesting that high. So if I can get some bears coming in and trying to get short on that first pullback, think about where all of their stops are, right? Think about where the stops are. Think about where those bears are in trouble, right? Where's their pain? And we'll literally buy right into those stop losses with a failure setup. Now, of course, as you guys know in our trade room, failure patterns almost always pull back, and we can grab that first pullback as well, right? These are called failure into pullback combinations. Now, guys, I know most of you guys and gals have taken the free trading course, right? You've learned all the setups. You know what the rules are for a failure into pullback combination. I know a lot of you guys have grabbed that free course already, taken the class and learned the setups. If you are one of the few people watching this video right now who have not taken that free trading course to learn all the entry patterns, what I'll do is I'll put a little link up here for you in the upper right-hand corner. If you're tired of missing the best trades of the day, if you're sick of taking so many losses, if you want a good roadmap to follow, that free trading course is designed for you. It'll give you a roadmap to follow. You'll learn my 4 favorite entry patterns: failures, pullbacks and a few more, and you'll also, most importantly, learn all the rules so you know when to take them and when to skip them. If you're serious about your trading, if you're not making the money you want, definitely grab that free course link in the upper right-hand corner, and that way the next time I say failure into pullback combination, you're going to know exactly what that looks like, what those rules look like there. Now, how do we sell it, right? How do we sell it? We know how to buy it, right? We know how to buy it on the pullback. Now, let's say, for example, as this market starts to pull back here now, right? Now we start to grind, right? And grind down. This is one of my favorite reversals here. I'm going to draw a trend line off that low. I'm going to bring it right up around that high and then repeat after me. Traps, baby. The trap off the high of this is where the money is right here. This is my favorite trades. If I could die and go to trader heaven, I'd get nothing but these trades all day long. Again, we get a range below us, and we know ranges act like magnets. So again, let's say they do go lower and they start to grind, right? Draw that little channel off that low, up around that high, and do not miss that short coming off that high. One of my favorite ways to short off the top whenever we have a range, or really anything for that matter, waiting below us. Another way I would like to short this market would be, let's say, for example, we get that pullback. Let's say the bears come in and try to get short, and we get our run back up to retest the high. Now let's look for that double top reversal. Now remember, we always want to respect the market's momentum. So even though we are at resistance, does not mean I can just hit the short key, right? It's the sell button and get short. What you want to do in this situation is let those buyers try twice. Let them try once. Let them try twice. Once those buyers try twice now, again, think about where their pain is, right? Think about where those stops are. The easiest money you're ever going to make in a bull market, right, is to wait for those buyers to get long right into those highs. And then again, look for that nice strong signal and drop it right off those highs. We're literally selling right into those stops as it collapses again back into that trading range. Now, your job is not over yet at that point. No. Your job is not over at that point. Now we get that move lower, and now we go out, we find that new channel. And what we say earlier, traps, baby. Well, the most important thing is you want to sell the first test off this channel, right? First test off that channel. A lot of times it's a trap. A lot of times it's a failure, right, into a pullback combination. Again, you're going to learn all about the actual entry setups. You'll learn that in that free trading course that I mentioned before, right? So boy, wouldn't it be nice tomorrow, get that pullback, get that failure pattern, take the profit off at the highs. Buyers come in, they try once. We're selling now into that exhaustion off the high. It rolls over, and then we hit it first try, right off, or first test, as we say, off the high of that channel. Where would our targets be at this point? Yeah, targets are definitely back into that range, and if we're lucky, it'll keep on. Hopefully, it'll go as smoothly lower as it goes higher here, right? So, well, those are some options here for us as we go lower here, or if we can get this thing to double top off of that high. How about a range up here, right? How about a range up here? How do we trade this thing as a range? You know what? Why don't we cover that on the NASDAQ, right? We'll cover the range on the NASDAQ. And what if it keeps going higher? Right? What if we keep going higher here? If we keep going higher, it's pretty much the same idea, right? Wait for that pullback, get those bears trapped in, grab that failure into that pullback combination. And again, we're going to cover a few more variations of this on the NASDAQ. All right, guys, let's keep going on that. Got a pretty good plan of attack, though, here on the S&P. Now, over the NASDAQ right now, remember, NASDAQ and the S&P are frequently very similar, but they're definitely not exactly the same. And you can see here in the NASDAQ is very similar, right? Very similar here on the NQ. We get that trading range right in the middle, a very strong run higher. What would you say is the most important information right now on the NASDAQ? Well, first of all, we know it's a bull market, right? There's no doubt about that. The bears, every time the bears try to take control of this market, every time they try to take control, they failed. And so this is definitely a bull market. We definitely can probably all agree on that. The challenge, though, is the second part of this is, right, remember the S&P. The S&P blew right through that pendulum swing. Look at the Nasdaq is, though. Boy, see, now you can see why I said earlier, this looks a whole lot more susceptible to that reversal. And so I think the reversal is great on either one of these, but obviously with the Nasdaq holding right, and what's really amazing with the Nasdaq is all they wanted was to get 15,000. Right? I mean, they got all the way there and couldn't get the 15,000. That to me, that says, boy, that pendulum is really, really strong there, right? Pretty much holding back, right, all those bulls here. So very, very similar scenario here, on the Nasdaq. I would love to get that nice deep pullback. Again, anytime we see a real strong move in one direction, we know getting a pullback, right, is a good idea. We know that we'd like to rope in those bears. Once those bears get short, then we know where those stops are. There's that failure into that pullback combination ahead of that retest of that high. Failure pattern, pullback pattern, right, on the way back up to retest the high. We talked about if we pull back and we start to grind down. Absolutely. One of my favorite trades there, right? Grab that trap off that high. And I say trap, right? This could be a trap setup. It could be a failure setup. It can be a pullback combination, right? There's plenty of ways to grab that short as we go. Remember, guys, I'm just simply kind of drawing on the chart right now. I have hundreds of examples of how we apply these pattern setups to our favorite markets in our trade room. I cover all that stuff, of course, inside that free trading class that I mentioned linked up there in the upper right-hand corner. So we've covered all of that. And again, we also know too, right, if we end up back up around this high, yes, one try for the bulls, two try for the bulls, short that sucker back down, find that new channel. And what do we always say? First test is the best test, right? Off the high of that new channel, right? So double top reversal into that first test off the high. Would love to get that short here for tomorrow. But let's talk about some variations though, right? We covered that already on the S&P. And again, this will pretty much apply to the S&P and the Nasdaq. What if let's talk about two more ways to sell short here. First of all, how about a crown reversal? Right? How about a crown reversal? We go up. The buyers try once. The buyers try twice. We get a trap above that high. That's a crown reversal. No need to retest that high. We go up. The buyers try once. The buyers try twice. Trap above that high. Crown reversal. Okay, kind of looks like a crown, right? We got that one try, two try. And the reason why you kind of want that trap, or between you, me, and YouTube, hidden channel off that low, up around that high, right? You always want to try to sell at resistance. That's a good rule of thumb, right? Sell at resistance, buy at support. I know it seems very basic, but you'd be amazed at how following that one simple trading rule will really keep you out of trouble, right? Selling at resistance, selling off the high of a hidden channel like this one, selling off a trap high, right? Like in this example. And again, remember, after you get that short off the high, your job isn't over yet, right? Your job isn't over yet, because now, as this thing starts going lower now you've got momentum on your side now. And so now you can go out, find that new channel, right? Get that trap above a prior swing, get that failure above the moving average, and hit that sucker going lower, right? One try, two try. We do not retest the high, right? And because of that lack of a retest, we like to use that trap, or again, that hidden channel for that short, right? Crown reversal off the high seems a whole lot more likely in the Nasdaq because of that pendulum swing, doesn't it? Absolutely, right? Crown reversal there. And then, of course, into that rolling over now. Don't kick those feet up on the desk, right? We're not done yet. Grab that new channel, trap set up, failure pattern, pullback pattern as we make that run where? Back towards those range lows, back towards that 14,720 area, right? Pretty easy stuff there. Again, trying to buy that pullback and retest that high. How about a 1, 2, 3 reversal pattern, right? That's the way to do it too. How about we pull back? How about we hold that pullback now and we jump off the moving average, right? This is not the same. It's not the same as a move lower and a grind, right? I love the grinds. You know me. I love those, right? Love those grind reversals. Those are great. But again, this one's just to be a pullback. This one holds the moving average, right? And it jumps off that moving average. When that happens, again, momentum now has turned. We can assume the amount we went above will be roughly the amount below. We know where the market now wants to go. Now, what do? How do you get into it? Yeah, we don't chase it, that's for sure. Remember, sell at resistance. Don't sell low, sell high. Mark off that low, mark off that high. Find those prior swings. You will see in that free trading class linked up in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a lot of those traps, those failures, and those pullback combos, right? You'll see those. Now, where are targets on that one? Yeah, we know where the target wants to be. We know where the market wants to go. But remember, you can really fine-tune those targets, those exits. Take the first leg and line that up with the third leg, right? First leg, third leg are oftentimes very, very similar. The middle leg, right? The second leg. That's the one you don't want to worry about, right? Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small. You can really, really dial in, really refine that final target by looking at the first leg down and combining that with that third leg. And that'll give you a really good spot there to grab some profit off. And if you have an extra runner, right, you can leave that down to that 14,700. What if you go sideways up here? Right? And this, of course, will also apply to the S&P as well. What if we go sideways up here on the NASDAQ? How do we trade a sideways market in a bull environment? Very possible, right? Again, very, very possible. Don't be surprised at all if we get stuck around this 15,000 big round. Now, remember, anytime we see this big of a move in one session, it's a big move. The following day will likely go into a range at some point. Now, there are 3 basic principles to trading a bull market into a trading range. You ready? There are 3 basic rules to it. First of all, once you find that trading range, and you're going to learn a lot more about this in that video class I mentioned earlier. Once we actually find that trading range, I'm going to use that trading range to find our buy zones. Unfortunately, we don't quite know where it is just yet. But once we know where that range is, once we know how big that range is, I'm going to use that trading range, and it's going to help me figure out how far of a pullback I want to wait for. Then what I'll do is I'll combine that buy zone with other levels of support, right? Like prior swings, like trend lines coming up, like triangle levels. Sometimes a little triangle, right? A little expanding triangle there. We can do that. We're trying to find support levels below the range, right? That's kind of simply put. Then what we'll do is we wait for the pullback. Now, eventually the buyers will run out of bullets up there, right? Remember, ranges act like magnets. So the longer we go sideways, the more magnetic that area becomes. Now, at this point now, don't try to pick that bottom. All right, picking bottoms, picking tops and bottoms, that's rookie's game, right? You're not a rookie anymore if you're watching this video right now, right? Welcome to the club. We're going to wait for the bears then to come in and try to sell that pullback, right? We saw back here into a range, right? Let them go take it lower. Let them try to sell it short, buy into stops. Let them take it lower. Let them try to sell it short and buy into stops. Same basic idea. So we go sideways over here, right? We go sideways. Ranges act like magnets. Wait for the pullback off a support level, right? Below the range. We don't pick a bottom. We let those bears try to get short, going back lower. Once they do, we know where their stops are, and we can buy into those stop losses. Now, your job ain't over yet. That's your first shot, right? That's our failure. Next one, draw a new channel. Mark off that high. Mark off that low. First test is the best test. And ideally, you want this entry before we get to the other side of that range. Okay, we do have some more advanced tactics where if it really does blast, right? Again, anytime we see a strong blast, you can almost guarantee you'll get a pullback and a retest of that high. But ideally, though, to kind of keep it simple here tonight, you want that failure off support below the range. You want that pullback off that new channel. And again, ideally, before we get to the other side of that trading range, right? Now, where do we go from there? Pendulum swing. Pendulum swing, right? Remember this over here? Same thing here. We'll take the amount we go below the range. We'll project that now above the range. That's going to give us now target 1, high of the range, target 2 at the pendulum swing. Okay? Then, if we can go through that pendulum swing, that's your breakout, right? That's your breakout. And let's talk about some breakouts here, right? So let's say, for example, we get that trading range. Let's say we get that pullback, right? Market pulls back. We get that failure. We get that first test, right? That first test as we go here and we blast, right? And we blast going higher here. What would be a couple breakouts? Again, and how do you know when the breakout's legit? When it really cruises through that pendulum swing. All right, so what does that look like as we go higher here? Well, first of all, next objective, 15,148.5. Right? What are a couple breakout patterns going higher? Here's my trading range. Right? Breakout number 1, 1, 2, 3 breakout. Right? We pop up, we hold that pullback, we find our new channel. Right? Find that new channel, buy that first test. Right? There's that 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern. I'm not buying the first one. Right? I'm buying the next one. Right? That's the first touch now off the low of that channel. That's an easy way to do it. Here's another one. Right? We go lower, we break out, we pop and we grind. We talked about this one already, right? Pop and grind. Mark that high, mark that low, grab that trap, baby. Right? Grab those traps, failure, pullback combo. Remember, first leg, right? First leg, third leg. That'll help you really kind of fine tune that final target. Again, we kind of know where it wants to go, right? That 15,148 there. But that'll help you fine tune that final exit there for you on the way higher. All right. I got a couple more breakouts though. Let's talk about those on the oil. All right, I get a few more breakout patterns. And again, like I said, I'm going to say some of our best stuff here towards the end of this lesson. But as you can see, though, that Nasdaq is really ripe here right now for a reversal and a pullback, right? Because again, the strength of this move is pretty obvious, right? All right, let's keep going. Over on the crude oil here, wrapping things up here with the Texas tea. We got the crude oil futures, black gold. What do we got going on here? Boy, it is good. Well, I think we can all speak together on this one. It's good to see oil coming off this 115, 120 area right now. I filled the gas tank up this weekend at $6.35 a gallon here in Los Angeles. Oh my goodness, that never feels good. Anyways, what's the most important factor right now on the crude oil? Well, I would say the fact that we've got an obvious bear trend. I think that's a very, very important factor here. We're clearly 1, 2, and 3 legs down. Now we know that trending markets love the number 3. And so we may end up seeing a bit of a range down here, and we'll talk about that here in a second. What else do we know about the oil right now? I think what is a very big clue right now on oil is the fact that we settled under 105 today. It was pretty obvious this morning when they broke below 110 and were making a nosedive going lower. It was kind of obvious that 105. And of course, if you've been listening to my newsletter the last few weeks, we've been talking about how, oil's basically moving in $5 increments, right? 120, 115, 110, 105, 100, 95, right? Don't worry about the $1 moves. Worry about the $5 moves right now. As crazy as that sounds, that's just kind of how the market is moving right now. So we're 3 legs down. And again, the fact that we closed here today firmly below that 105, that would suggest to me that the next big round number, that 100, would definitely be something to keep on our radar here for tomorrow. That's definitely a big clue here for me as well. What else do we have here on our radar? That's about it. It's a trending market. There really isn't much of a range going on right now. And so whenever we have a trending environment, we're going to go out, we're going to find our channels. I always like to draw my channels backwards. So as the market kind of rolls lower, I love to find these we call hidden channels, right? Draw a trend line off that low and then bring that trend line up around the highs. And that's usually a pretty reliable spot there to sell short. I would also think there could be a range down here because, again, we went 3 legs down. So if I'm a seller right now, right? If I'm a seller, I want to sell up inside my sell zone. I want to sell resistance levels up above the high of that channel. We'll talk about how to time the entries on these here in just a moment. At the same time, too, if we go sideways here, the bears would love to sell at resistance above that trading range. How about the buyers here right now? If I was a buyer, what would I be doing right now? I would consider being a seller is what I'd be doing. But the reality is buyers have to be a little patient, right? This is it definitely feels like we've turned the corner here on crude oil. Now, I will definitely, disclaimer, I will definitely remind you that we are one bad tweet or one dirty look or one, as President Biden here in the U.S. this weekend, one bad, press conference away from ripping higher here again. So remember, this market is highly, highly susceptible to any news headline that comes out right now. So we're bearish right now, but this could definitely change here in a heartbeat. What would the buyers want to do here? The buyers would love to buy a double bottom reversal. That is definitely an option. It doesn't seem as likely as the other marks we talked about here so far, but that is definitely an option. And then, of course, we can also trade those, those reversals here, right? I'd have no problem trading a reversal if we can get the right entry set up, right? If we can get the right proof here. So we'll talk about that here as well. So there's no shortage of buy setups here right now, but got to be careful here right now, forcing this thing going long here. I would not be trying to make it a habit of trying to pick these bottoms here right now. Okay, on the pullback, how do we buy it? How do we sell it? Well, the first thing is, again, and a lot of this is very similar, right? If we pull back now, up around the high of this channel, up into resistance overhead here. Now, think about those buyers, right? The buyers come in, they try to get long. Think about the strength of this overall trend, right? We finished the day firmly below 105. I'm waiting for those buyers to step into that, and we can sell that failure into that pullback combination on that way lower. Failure into pullback combo as we go. We pop up, failure, right, into pullback combo as we go down. Same thing over and over again, right? Strong move down, pop back up, failure into pullback combo for that move down. You'll see a lot of examples of that in that free trading course. Now, what if we really pop, right? What if we really pop? What if we get a couple really big, like we saw last night, right? Got that big red candle to begin the day. What if this thing what if it just rips higher like this? What if it just pops right up like that? What do you do then? Well, at that point now, what's the problem? Momentum, right? Momentum is the problem. And whenever momentum is the problem, what do? We use the 2-try rule. We let those buyers try once. We let them try twice. We think about where all their stops are, right? Where their pain is, and we sell into those stop losses. And then don't forget, grab that new channel, find that channel high, and what was it again? Traps. Most importantly, though, first test, right? The first test off that high. 2-try failure, right? And again, this could be a trap, could be a failure, could be a pullback setup. We know where the market wants to go. It wants to go back down to retest that low. Now, at some point, this pop becomes a reversal. What would it look like? It's got to hold the pullback, right? It's got to hold that pullback and jump. What do we call those? 1, 2, 3 reversal patterns. Mark up that high, mark up that low. Do not be scared of this one, right? Don't be scared of this. Now, it may not go forever, but this is almost a guaranteed winner when you get those 1, 2, 3 reversals, right? It's that first test. Right. And obviously I'm keeping it pretty simple right now by just simply, showing the bounce off the low of that. But we, of course, will drill down to our faster time frame. This is a 3,000 tick chart right now. You can see in the upper left-hand corner. We're not going to trade off a 3,000 tick chart, right? We'll drill down to our faster time frame. We'll find our traps. We'll find our failures, our pullback combinations, and you'll see examples of that in that free class. Where do we think this market wants to go if it turns around? Well, there's last Friday's close at 112.60. I would imagine, though, the size of that first leg and the size of the third leg will probably be pretty symmetrical. So that's going to give you an idea of kind of how to fine-tune that final target. And then again, you get that top up there, 114, 115 will be obviously another big round number here. That seems to be unrealistic right now, but again, we're only one kind of misstep or misspeak, away from that right now. So we'll see how that goes here. What if we get a pop and a grind? That would work too, right? Pops up, grinds and grinds, right? Really pops and grinds here. Whenever it grinds like that, find that new channel, draw it tight, grab that first test, right? And again, it's that first leg and that third leg, right? It's always tough to get into this thing when it grinds up like that. Just wait for that thing to pop back, right? Wait for it to pull back here and grab that retest. Those are some ways I can buy this thing as we go. What if we go lower here? Right? What if we go lower? This is definitely one of those markets that could keep on grinding down to 100, right? Let's say, for example, they roll over, right? They roll over here. Let's mark up that new trend line. Let's find that bigger channel now. Let's wait for that, right? Wait for that pop up, grab that trap, that failure, that pullback combo, right? Makes sense? So again, if it starts to grind down here, I'm not going to keep looking for that big wide channel. And don't forget, right, if it does happen to pop way up like that, right? Let's say it does. Let's say it really pops to the low. That's fine. Wait for the buyers once, buyers twice, sell right into those stops. Grab that trap, right? Grab that trap on the way back down again, right? Same idea. Same idea. Not much is different there. If the market here keeps on grinding. And again, don't be surprised here if we see a trading range on here somewhere, right? Could be here, it could be down around 100. It could be at 105. Let's say, for example, this could be a range here, right? What if we went back up here and start going sideways for a while? What do you think? Now, see, this is a bit of a curveball. Okay? What would that tell us right now? It would tell us that the amount we go below the range is probably going to be the amount we go above the range, right? So that level above us now becomes the key area of resistance. At that point now, what do? We wait for the pop up. Exactly right. We make sure we trap in those buyers, let them get long, and then sell into those stop losses. Now, one thing I will be watching closely on this tomorrow is to make sure there's no support trend lines in the way of a 1-to-1 first target. This is where you'll definitely want to be with me tomorrow in the trade room, and we'll do it together. That way you kind of know how to avoid that. These are the types of kind of little variations that can sneak up on you, right? As Mike Tyson always says, right? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And that's kind of what happens, right? The plan is great until a couple hours into the trade room, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, I wasn't expecting that to happen. So you have to be ready for those kind of variations of it. That is a variation that you want to make sure you keep an eye on here for tomorrow. And then again, right? Don't be surprised if it kind of rolls over here, goes into that trading range here. At that point now, what do? Yeah, what do? You find levels of resistance above the range. You wait for that pop up. You wait for those buyers to come in, try to get long, and we're selling into those stops. We're finding that first channel to grab that first test. And then again, where's our targets? Yep, targets are going to be at the other side of that trading range and that pendulum swing on the opposite side. If we break below the pendulum swing, we have official breakout. we look for things like a pop and grind, a 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern, etc., etc. All right, guys. Hope you learned a lot in this video here tonight. But remember, the real test is tomorrow, right? As I mentioned earlier, the game plan is pretty easy. The hard part is going out there and doing it correctly, not forcing the bad stuff, right? Taking the good stuff. And guys, that's why our trade room is such a great resource, a great shortcut for all of our students. It's a great place to learn and earn and to kickstart or kind of course correct a new trading career. I'll put all of the membership links down here. I'll put all the free course links. I'll put the trade room links down there that we can get registered on the website and get ready for tomorrow morning. We open the trade room up every morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll put all the membership links down there. Come on, join us, right? Again, the game plan is pretty simple. But again, those game plans will change quickly as news comes out tomorrow, any new headlines hit the tape tomorrow, or we see any kind of variations of what we talked about here tonight, right? Don't forget, if you have any questions, drop those questions there for me in the comment section below. Don't be afraid to call the office if you guys have any questions about membership. And of course, we got live chat in the lower right-hand corner there as well. All right, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you had a fantastic day today, but get some rest. We're coming back tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the trade room. If I don't see you guys tomorrow morning in the trade room, I'll see you same time, same place in tomorrow night's video newsletter. Guys and gals, great to have you back here with me once again. Sorry to leave you hanging end of last week. That's all right, though. Big week ahead of us here as we finish up the month of March. Get some rest. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, be well, be nice to each other, and be here next time, will you? Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.